Mockups are one of the most important aspects of the design process because it allows your clients to see their brand in the real world. And when you open Affinity, sometimes you'll see this home screen. There's a section at the bottom where there's a bunch of tutorials, and one of the tutorials is a mockup tutorial. Now, as a brand designer myself, I need to make a lot of mockups. I want to test how good this tutorial is and see if maybe there's some hidden nuggets of knowledge in there. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my own mockup, and I'm going to compare Affinity's mockup with my mockup, and we'll see which one is better. So I've already gone ahead and made the mockup. It's right here, but I will walk you through how I did it. So I started with this base image that I found on Pexels. I'll leave this linked in the description so that you can download it if you want to follow along. But the first thing that you're going to do is grab your rectangle tool and estimate about how large this sign area is. So I covered it for the most part. And now what I need to do is figure out what the aspect ratio of this sign is. So after a couple of calculations and experiments, I discovered that this has an aspect ratio of 3:2, and it's not going to show up, but there it is. Oh yeah, one thing I want to do as well is come to the artboard tool. Hi phone, jeez. Just click insert artboard. I prefer working with artboards, so that's just me. I do that every single time. Anyways, this is an aspect ratio of 3:2. 3:2. I will leave a link in the description for an online aspect ratio calculator tool that is super useful. Once we have this rectangle made, we're going to come here, come down. Sorry, we're going to click on this button, the hourglass button, and click perspective. We're going to apply a perspective filter to this. And now this is where we just zoom in, and we're going to place these right on the very corners of the sign, and we want to be as precise as possible. Something like that looks good. And if you have snapping on, you can hold Option or Alt to disable snapping temporarily. There we go. Now we have our rectangle here fitted to the sign. So now what we're going to do is click it, right click it, and then convert it to a picture frame. And then I'm just going to come up here and take out the fill. We're like 90% done already. Now you're just going to take one of your designs, drop it in there. This is something that I threw together just for this video. It's very fast and rough. But look, because we positioned everything, it immediately fits right into the sign. And we did a pretty good job, if I do say so myself. But we can integrate this into the scene a little better, because if we hide this, notice how there's these shadows here coming across like that. We want to replicate those shadows on top of our design here, because there's no shadows. So let's do that. What are we going to do? We're going to take this background and duplicate it. I'm going to lock the bottom layer now, and I'll just drag this on top and hide everything underneath for the time being. What I'm going to do is hit Control or Command L. Control or Command L, and we're going to play with the black and the white levels till we get somewhere where we want as much contrast in this area as possible. I'm not looking outside the sign. I'm only looking in this section. I want the texture and the shadows and the detail to come out. So I'm going to pull this up. Probably something around there. Looks pretty good to me. Alright, I'm going to grab this picture frame and duplicate it. Just drag it above here for now. And what we're going to do is click this button to convert it to curves. Delete the poster. And let's just give it a fill. There we go. So what we're going to do now, we have this levels adjustment. I'm going to drag it, hover it over the thumbnail of this background layer, and it says apply to layer. We're going to apply it to that layer. And now we're going to take this poly line and hover it over the thumbnail and use it as a clipping mask. So now we get something that looks like this. Doesn't look very great. If we bring the picture up underneath, we don't see anything. But now this is where we get to play with blending modes and try to find, oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Try to find a good blending mode. So like multiply, the shadows are able to come out, and we just experiment here. I found that add, I think, works, and if I drop it down by like 50%, that should work. Maybe I'll go a little further to 30%, something like that. And what I might do too is adjust this slightly to make it a little bit more visible, kind of like that. So now this is our shadow layer. This is integrating it into the scene. This is where the design goes. So the design goes here, and then we have our background layer. And if we click that on and off, you can see the difference that it makes. It really helps to integrate the scene. And I like creating notes for myself on the mockup so that I know how to use them. So I'm just going to say this sign has an aspect ratio of 3:2. And it's super tiny, so let's bring this up to that or something. Might adjust the levels slightly more. Oh, by the way, I should mention, one of the ways to test your mockup is to grab one of these color squares that they use in broadcast and place it in your design and move the colors around. And what I'm looking at is how these shadows fall on top of the colors. So you see, I can see the shadows coming here across on the magenta and the red and the blue. I can also move this up, and I can really see it visible on the blacks and the grays. So doing something like this will help you preview what it might look like before dropping in an actual design. It's a good way to test it. I don't know how much of this is going to come through on YouTube compression, but one of these color bar charts is really useful for testing mockups like this. Once we're at a place that we are happy, we can save this as a template for use later. Now there's two ways we can do this. One way is you come up here to File, Export as Template, and then you just save it somewhere. I prefer just to save it as a normal document. So Command or Control S, we're going to save as, and then I have this folder called Mockup Templates that I save all of my mockup templates into. I'm just going to save it into this folder. And now what you can do when you come into Affinity is you can click on the A, click on the Home, My Templates, and there's a set of folders here. And I have this folder for mockup templates. Now you can double click and you have your mockup templates here ready to use. And all you have to do is drag in whatever design you have, export it, and you're good to go. So it makes it super fast and super easy, especially if you have your aspect ratio correct. So your aspect ratio of your design is super important when matching it with the mockup. So this is my mockup. I feel like it's a pretty good one. Let's see how Affinity does. So let's go to the home and let's test out this mockup. So what do we got? What do you got for me? Mockups in Affinity. In this topic, we'll create a mockup with a placed Affinity file using shapes, the perspective tool, and adjustments. Your project file includes a placed Affinity file. It has been added as shown in the video and hidden for us to use later. Okay, I'm going to point something out here. Placing Affinity files is actually a really smart idea. I forget that we have the ability to do this in Affinity. That's super useful because if you change the design or update it, it automatically updates in your mockup file as well. So that's a good reminder for me. I keep forgetting that you can place Affinity files in your thing. Okay, well, let's see what's next. Adding shapes, let's create a boundary. Wait, am I supposed to do something here? Your project includes a placed Affinity file has been added as shown and hidden. Okay, I don't think so. Okay, adding shapes, let's create a boundary to contain the placed file. On the select the rectangle tool and drag a rectangle over the screen. Okay, let's follow along. There we go. On the context toolbar, click the stroke color well and remove the color on the stroke. I can do that with keystrokes. Select the move tool and select the perspective tool from the subtools group. What is this subtools group that they speak of? I don't know where that is. I just know that we can find it here. It's the same thing, so let's just try it anyways. Okay, so we have that. Align the corners of the rectangle with the corners of the screen. When you are happy, close the live perspective dialog. This will bring you back to the move tool. Okay. So one thing they didn't mention, which is useful, is hit the numbers on your numpad to decrease the opacity of the layer, and select a different color other than white, because it's going to be hard aligning white on white. But anyways, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's that step done. I mean, it looks pretty good so far. Place inside. Make visible the placed affinity file. So do this. Drag the placed affinity file layer and drop it onto the name of the rectangle layer. Move and resize the placed file as required. To edit your placed file, double-click the placed affinity file in the document. This will open the file in a separate tab. Okay, let's do one thing at a time. So we just drag this over here. All right, it's placed inside. Okay, that's kind of neat. It undid the perspective, but I don't know if that's what I wanted it to do. Okay. Am I missing something? Hold on. I'm going back. So make this visible. Place the affinity file. I'm gonna watch what they do again. Yeah, they just drag it here. Oh. And then you have to place it and resize it until it gets to about where you think it should be, like that. Maybe bring it over this way a bit. Oh gosh. It don't fit very good. Okay, now we double click it. Double click the word don't, change it to that, close the tab and return. So if we double click this, yeah. We're gonna say that. I guess we should capitalize. Oh, hello. Details that matter. Now we just close it. There we go. It's updated. See, this is what's pretty cool about it. Okay. Close the tab. Quick tip. You can place a new Affinity file, PDF, and other files to swap out your screenshot without recreating the perspective transform. Very nice. Apply an HSL adjustment. Deselect all layers by pressing Command D or Control D. Add HSL adjustment from either adjustments at the bottom of the layers. Okay, I'm just going to do Control U or Command U. Pulls it right up. Edit the parameters as required. This will affect the entire image. I don't know what would need adjusted. I mean, I'm like looking at this image and I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, what are they changing? And they changed the hue to a magenta. Wait, no. Select the red, hue to magenta. That applied weird artifacts to this area though. That's now this area is kind of all blocky and ugly because of that effect, and like look at this wall now. Interesting choice. Okay, and that's it. Right, and now they're probably showing us how to save it as a template, right? Or no, they're showing us more of the learn stuff. How good are these learn things? Is it worth going through and seeing how good this actually is? Maybe that's interesting. Let me know if you would want to see something like that. Okay, so here's their mock-up, and here's my mock-up. Now, I'm curious, what do you think is easier to use based on what you've seen so far? Because with this placed file, what we can do is come here and just replace the document. But here as well, we can come to this picture and just click replace image. And you can place Affinity documents in an image. Like for example, here's the poster file. So there it is. Now I can double click on this, and let's say I want to move the position to there. I can then close it, come into here, and it changed. So you can place Affinity files in picture frames. I'm gonna be honest, I think my method is better. Hate to break it to you, Affinity, I think my method is better. So I was about to edit this video when I remembered that I forgot to show you the secret technique for how to make mockups without any design technique at all. And it's the magic word AI, but it's local AI, and local AI is awesome because you don't have token limits. So on a Mac, there's this app called Draw Things. It's literally Draw Things on the App Store. Look it up. It's honestly the most performant AI image tool on Mac, like period. So I'm going to show you how to use this, and it's super easy. So what you got to do here is click on this and just search up Flux 2 or Flux Klein, or maybe just Klein. I don't know how it came up. Anyways, you want to download the Flux 2 Klein 4B is what I'm using. If you have more RAM in your MacBook or something, you can download the 9B. And I was going to experiment with Klein 4B 8-bit S, which I think is faster, but I haven't confirmed that. This is your canvas. What you're going to do is take your mockup base photo and just drag it on top. Or you can click this icon to import the photo. Here we go, drag it on, give it a second to load, and boom, there we are. Now what we're going to do is click on Control and then Mood Board, and now here you're going to drag in your design. And then if we click on image, we can preview our image. Make sure that this icon here is set to edit, and you can click on this button to try the recommended settings for Klein. I'm going to use a 3x4 here and align the canvas so that this slight little border is completely covering the image. If it's not covering the image, it will try generating outside of it, and we don't want that. I'm just going to go 100%, a little more zoomed in than I would want, but it's fine for now. All right, all we have to say is place the poster in the sign and it will do its magic. All right, so it's been a little over 2 minutes, and let's see how it did. So if we zoom in, it might not show up on this design as much, but I don't see as much shadow cutting across. And it actually did a pretty good job. Now this is really convenient, and it kind of does the compositing for you. If there's a design with a lot more white background, then the shadow would probably be a little more prominent than it currently is. But honestly, that is not a terrible mockup. Now, of course, you could just use like Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever, but this is just another option for you. Something to keep in mind if you do go the route of AI is sometimes it messes up the image when it places it in your mockup. I've literally seen it where you tell it to do something and it totally screws up the face. Like, actually, if you zoom in here, the eyelid is a little bit messed up. And another thing to keep in mind is you're restricted by the size. This is a 768 by 1024 pixel mockup. It's pretty small compared to this mockup over here. This artboard is 3,500 pixels by 4,000 pixels. That's like 3 to 4 times the larger, so there's a lot more detail and a lot more fidelity. So if you really want to look professional, probably just go make your own mockups. If you need something quick and dirty, something like this could work. All right, well, thanks for watching. Peace out.